Sheep, settle in. It is time for a brand new episode of the BHHcast. I am Jamie Bendel, Jamie Hernan, and Adam. Hey!
Wait, you know, I kind of like, so if I could get a little, if I could just say one thing, I just want to say, say how you did Adam there.
No, we're good.
No. How did you say Adam?
No, let's not play that.
I kind of set
No, but it was
my foot
like
into both.
Adam.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty third grade. That's pretty third grade of you. Even for you, that's a little bit below the belt.
That was a little silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Jeez. Anyhow,
What you gotta do?
Sheep, welcome back. We missed you.
This is an interesting episode.
But you know, this is the start of season 4.
We have a guest who
Premiere of season 4.
Premiere.
We better bring it.
I mean, we got the red carpet out here.
the launch.
We better bring it because
Well,
honestly,
we've brought it because our guest on this episode is terrific. I'm very excited about our conversation with him. Perhaps he's notorious in some respects, some circles.
yes.
Well-
Like if you ask yourself what happened to the death of a gaming company called Atari, my friend here, he's the guy who did it.
All right, but so you've raced ahead to the end.
Yeah.
There was a time when gaming at home meant board games,
Yes.
meant tag in the backyard.
A simpler time.
It was a simpler time. And then gaming,
The arcade came home.
the arcade came home and it went onto our television screens.
Yes.
And gaming systems were fast and furious.
Pretty soon we're losing teenagers to it all the time.
Well, they're Fast and Furious, or they were the Intellivision.
Well, there were competing systems. There were winners and losers
yeah.
in among the competing systems.
Right.
Yeah.
Some children got winning systems.
Yeah, like Atari.
Other children got systems that lost.
Wasn't that kind of a sign of whether your parents loved you? Like what system they would give you?
Oh, I don't think we need to go there. Yeah.
No?
No, his parents are
I actually think it was
They
a
love
sign
him.
that your parents truly loved you.
because they didn't want
Because they
spend time with
wanted to
you.
invest in the growth of your brain. And so they gave you the world's hardest gaming system.
Is that what they told you?
or the worst gaming
When
system.
parents wanted to basically put a babysitter into a wall outlet, they got you Atari.
If they gave you the Intellivision, they know you just go play outside.
No, they were like, there's no way that this guy's going to be a lifetime sustaining member of our local PBS channel if we don't give him Intellivision at the age of 11.
That's right. And someday we may need this kid to be the anchor of one of the hottest podcasts in the entire world.
Right,
So let's not waste that time with Atari. Is that what you're saying?
right.
Yeah. Who's the anchor of the? Oh, that's okay. All right. So we got a guest coming out.
All right, so we have a guest. We're going to learn a little bit about that. Those of you that are familiar with the movie E.T., you may not know that there was once a highly anticipated video game based on the movie E.T., and we will learn a little bit about the story of what happened next.
It's going to be good, Sheep. You're going to have some fun. We're going to learn something. Maybe we'll laugh a little. Maybe we'll cry a little. Maybe we'll grow a little.
How much gaming do you do right now? Are you a gamer?
The COVID thing has reintroduced gaming to me. I'm playing with some friends around the country because
Seriously?
it was actually some dads and I were just like, let's see what these kids are up to. And then we found out it was kind of fun.
What's the game of choice?
Oh, I'm playing Fortnite with some
Oh, wow.
with some other dads. Yeah, and it was originally we started playing and it
Kind
was
of ironically?
yeah, ironically, like let's make fun of the kids. But then it was like you do need a break from your family in the COVID world, so this was our break from the family.
Next thing you know, you're
Yeah.
buying skins for yourself on...
Oh yeah, so
Fortnite?
it's a free Fortnite is a free game that the four of us have definitely thrown about $700 into at this
So
point.
how often are there kids mocking you on that game because you are a grown man?
So when we originally started playing Fortnite, the game was not skill matchmaked. So what would happen is the game is much like Hunger Games, where you kind of go and you land and you try and find stuff and then you kill everyone until you're the last man standing. Our games would be like this. We'd land on the ground, we'd start gathering stuff together, we'd get all ready to go, and then someone would say, I see someone, and we're dead. Right, that would be it.
Sniper shot.
Like there's somebody on the, and we're dead. Right, or guys, there's guys over here. and that was our game.
Never more than 60 seconds.
It was after contact. Like we could survive a pretty long time as long as we had no contact.
You
with
weren't
any
even
other
making
player.
it tonight,
Oh,
let
no.
alone a
As soon as-
fortnight.
if you heard footsteps, the game was about to be over. But now they have matchmaking, and you get paired with people of similar skill. So it's great. So most of the guys we play against, they're like continuing to run into a wall. Like when you see them playing, like they're just trying to run through a wall. So that's our level.
Hold on a second. You guys are competing in participation trophy level Fortnite?
It's not even participation level. I think like most of these people we're playing against, like it's the first time they played the game.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
You guys are staying basically in T-ball
Oh yeah.
of
Yeah.
you haven't even gotten to dad pitch yet.
But do you have to dumb
no.
down your play so that you don't
No,
end up
it doesnn't sound
going
like it. They are
Oh no, we're playing full bear. We're
No, but
playing.
can you
We're
keep
playing as well
yourself
as
at
we
that
can.
level? In other words, you don't want to
No,
get
that's how
bumped
good
up.
we are. No, this is how
That's
good
just
we
truth.
are. Like
It's
this
just
is
truth.
this is level truth,
Right.
which is what I call it. 14-year-olds' first 5 games is our 75th, 80th game. Yeah, yeah. It's been a lot of fun though. We have a lot of fun.
you should be monetizing that because if
The Twitch?
if you could stream dads playing Fortnite,
Oh, yeah.
you should all be millionaires at this point.
It's there are people who've done it, but like some of the conversations we have are just incredible.
There's
And
no
also,
such thing as somebody's done it. There's always there's some new 14-year-old who hasn't seen dads playing Fortnite before.
So we played with a guy who I'm not going to say his name, but he's known around here as the Ginger.
Okay.
And the Ginger, you know who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when we
Which by the way, is a great Fortnite name,
yeah.
right?
So my Fortnite name is Dirtier Cheese.
Dirtier cheese.
Yeah. I don't know why. It just that you can pick random at the beginning, but yeah, Dirtier Cheese. My name. Anyhow, the Ginger would literally at the beginning when we had played with a non-matchmaking, if he killed anybody in the game, like one eliminate, by the way, now we're getting 20, 25 eliminations. If we got one kill, the Ginger would taunt for about 20 minutes. And he'd be like, "You like that, son? How do you feel? Can you see me?" And he'd dance over the guy and he'd move all over.
The guy who is probably a 13-year-old
Oh,
kid
yeah, sure.
in tears somewhere. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyhow, it's a fun time. We can talk to our guests a little bit about it. The world has changed, and the economics of gaming has changed. The whole pay for skins, which I thought could never work, is just crushing because we do want the new skin. We want to look like Batman. We want to look like Rambo. We want to look like...
I would assume if you were doing dad Fortnite, all of your skins would be cargo pants.
So there's a lot of cargo pants, actually, avatars. Yeah.
Around here, I think it would be sandals, shorts, polo
Yeah.
shirt. Yeah.
You are not landing in the world. I've never played Fortnite. Even I know you cannot expect to survive in Fortnite in flip-flops.
Oh, there are guys in flip-flops, though.
Yeah, but they're clearly among the dead.
Yeah.
There's no way you're advancing to a higher level of
If you kill
Fortnite.
someone in flip-flops, can you then pick up the
Dirtier,
flip-flops?
first of all, dirtier cheese.
Yeah.
Is it
And
dirty
by the
or
way,
cheese?
There's
or
a number
dirtier
that comes
cheese?
after
No,
it, but I don't want
dirtier.
all our listeners to start like hitting me up on
No,
on Xbox.
I'm saying
so.
dirtier, right? Dirtier cheese
Yeah.
is not a flip-flop wearer.
Oh no.
I mean, he's seen some stuff.
Oh yeah, Dirtier Cheese is usually a sock monkey. That's who I play as.
Yeah, but
Like a monkey, like one of those sock monkeys.
but not in. He's like a mercenary.
Yeah, I mean,
Got washed out of the
he's
Rangers.
He's a sock puppet whose favorite dance is "Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. He's been through some stuff though.
Instead of running into that wall, you're doing the little flip off of the wall.
He's
Rick
giving him the
Astley
Rick
style.
Astley. Yeah. You've been Rick-rolled.
You just got rickrolled, son.
Rick-rolled.
It's a pretty fun game though.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun to play.
Go bear hug the guy running into the wall.
It's okay.
That could be your job.
It's okay.
Hey, Jamie, go tackle the guy running into the wall.
No, I'm going to go.
Hit him down. I'll shoot him in the leg.
I'm going to go kneel behind him so that you can knock him over.
Oh yeah, good
It's not,
move.
it's not Fortnite's prank mode.
Yeah.
It's
Could
not.
be.
It's not like
Ooh, that would be a great game.
prank mode.
Yeah, it has to be you can only kill people with pranks,
Oh, they have different versions of the game.
like hand buzzers.
Like one
and-
is where you're doing like they have like you have like
Yeah,
jokey jokes.
Flamethrower flower button on your.
Right, the little zapper
It's
with
weird.
the gum.
It's a whole environment though now. Like they have
You keep talking to us about this game like we care about it.
no, they have concerts in the game. Like everyone goes and attends a concert. And they do the concert live, and it's like real big stars are doing the concerts in the game live.
and you're just in there killing everybody, knocking them out while they're watching the show?
It's a no-kill mode when if you're in the concert area. Anyhow, check it out.
About 10 minutes ago, we did an outro to this intro.
And I don't want anybody to have listened to the precursor to our interview here.
Right.
And
I don't want anyone to have listened to that.
Get the wrong impression.
Oh, okay.
About the fact that I have chosen to spend the majority of my adulthood not gaming.
Okay.
I don't think anybody had that confused.
You don't seem like a gamer. You're not that cool.
I just want to be clear on the fact that I bring other things to the table than my knowledge of the world of gaming.
So,
for example?
So what, you're not going to do the intro when the guest comes on?
No, I'm saying I'm fine. No, actually, you should do the intro. Huh. Why don't you do it for once?
How can I do that?
Hernan do the
you
intro.
You just say the words.
Have you gone?
We come back and you act like you're going to introduce the guest.
That's
you
crazy
sound like
talk.
a crazy person right now.
No, I'm just saying.
No, you sound insane.
Yeah, I mean, what fantasy? Maybe you do like fantasy games.
Hernan can barely talk on the show. Are you talking about him doing the intro?
Think about how many takes we're going to have to do.
Probably at least more than one.
Correct.
Yeah, one take Bendel over here. He hits it every.
Yeah,
Hernan,
come on.
This is a big guest. This is the premiere show of season 4, and we're gonna do this.
So I'm the narrator of season 4. Is that what you're saying?
Kill me now. Kill us now. Sheep.
No. Do one guest intro.
Don't leave yet.
Fun.
Don't hit unsubscribe.
Yeah. Let's treat it like it's a new skin that's available in the pretend world of podcast Fortnite. My avatar's name is Juantic.
Juantic. Nice.
And let's see what you can do.
All right.
See what you can do when we come back with the guest.
You guys keep chatting. I'm going to have to go practice.
It's going to be interesting, Sheep. We're going to have Hernan. Okay, let's see what that's works.
See what it works. See what it feels like. Let's just try it on.
Oh, my gosh.
Could feel weird.
I'm ready. This is my moment.
We're going to go for it. We're going to go for it.
When we come back, we are going to have Howard Scott Warshaw. And
it's going to be like the Howard Scott Warshaw.
Phone home.
Oh, make your noise.
Home.
Hit the sounder.
When 3 podcast hosts get together and play one game of Fortnite, it gets pretty crazy. All right, guys, we gotta. We're on the bus.
Wait, I dropped my flip flop. I gotta go back and get it.
No,
Hold on.
Don't worry about your flip flop. Get yourself a gun. We gotta drop out of this Airbus.
Ooh, I'm a pacifist. I don't like guns.
And we're gonna land. Don't be a baby. You're gonna have to get over that. So here we go, Jamie. I know you haven't played a lot, so oh Jesus, it's gonna be the Y button. You're gonna hit the Y button to jump out of the bus. Okay.
Okay, so my only question is, we are going to build forts, right? This is what we're doing?
Just at night, right?
It's part of the game, but really that's the more higher level stuff. Honestly, just hit Y, because we're going to...
Well, what am I supposed... I have 9 Bed Bath & Beyond bags full of pillows and towels and big sheets to make forts out of.
I feel like marketing may have deceived him on this one.
The Fortnite was... It's like the 2-week Fortnite. It's not like forts.
I am ill-equipped.
Yeah, so anyhow...
Can I kill people with a throw pillow?
Sure.
They don't have a throw pillow, but they have grenades. You can throw grenades at
Can
people.
I put a grenade in the throw pillow?
They don't actually have... They have beds. We can smash beds.
I have...
And couches.
King-size twin sheets in 3 of these bags.
Yeah,
this is a kid's show. I don't think you can smash beds.
I think we're going to get swamped.
Smash beds!
Honestly, if you don't jump out of the bus soon, Jamie, you got to
hit out of a bus or out of a plane? What is
I
my...
just hit
It's
his
a
Y.
flying bus.
We're out. We're good.
Flying bus?
But I only have one flip flop.
Okay, well, when we hit the ground...
I've lost a flip-flop.
I
don't think I'm going to make it!
All right.
I don't think I'm going to make it!
Honestly, stick around with 3 dads on the Fortnite. It's going to get crazy. When 3 podcast hosts play Fortnite together, it doesn't go well. All right, guys, so now... First off, congratulations, everybody. You made it to the ground. I didn't think we were going to get out of the bus.
Where the hell is my flip-flop?
Don't worry about your flip-flops. Honestly, we got to start finding stuff. We got to start finding guns. We got to start picking up stuff.
Don't come in my direction. I've run into a wall.
You've run into a wall multiple times.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm just going to walk up and down the wall and see if I can find a way out.
Okay, that's not going to work. But what your
if you're there, if you see my flip-flop, just let me know.
Honestly, just stop pushing the joystick forward, because if you pull it back, you won't just keep running to the wall. Like, if you hit the door open button, hit X. Hit X, and that'll open the door.
I'm changing.
Oh my God, you're still running into this.
I'm not.
No, the X, it's right next to the other joystick on your...
All right, can I run over to where you are? Where are you?
I'm right. Look on the map. If you look on the map, you can see me. I'm right. I'm like, maybe...
I'm not seeing a map.
I've put on some cleats.
It's the little thing in the top screen.
Can I wear cleats?
Honestly, guys, There's people coming.
All right, I'm hearing footsteps.
No, there's
Is that
people.
you? Are you coming to find me? If it's not,
I can't talk right now. I'm getting shot at. Hold on a second, guys. Okay, I think I'm down. Oh, forget it. Just forget it.
All right, guys. Tonight's episode has been all about gaming.
Yep.
I am excited about a brand new video game that you can play with your closest friends.
Yeah, it's funny how we get a show about gaming and we have a sponsor.
This is amazing.
Gaming.
Yep.
This game is called Bed, Bath, and Beyond. Premise of the game is your player gets a to-do list.
Okay.
And you have to complete all of the tasks on the do list in the allotted amount of time.
So it's basically marriage.
It seems like marriage,
Sounds like any given Saturday.
but the difference between marriage and the game is that in the game, you get rewards for completing the tasks.
Can we talk about sponsors? Because honestly, if we're gonna keep sponsors, do we have to promote this game? Like, this game sounds horrible.
Who's the villain in this game?
You never actually get to see the villain. You just sense the villain.
Oh, is there a nagging voice?
It's weird. It'll pop up and it can add things to do to your list.
Like
so
text you
think it
while
just
you're in the
pops
store?
up.
Does it get mad if you didn't get things that even weren't on your list?
That's what happens.
What happens if you go home without something on the list?
You die and then you get dropped back into one of the places on the to-do
God,
list.
this sounds horrible. Oh, hope our sheep play the game, but oof,
Do you?
I really don't.
Here's
Please just buy the game.
Here's the catch. You're playing the game whether you want to or not.
You literally, I wake up every Saturday and I'm just playing the game.
You are in the game.
So this is kind of like the Matrix. Do the sheep get anything in the game?
Can you get a 20% off coupon?
You can reduce the number of things on the list by 20% by using BHHcast.
Is that like the coupon that comes in the mail in real life?
It's actually, it just creates a bonus period where you can do something for yourself. So it's like a little personal timeout.
No,
Oh, it is a fantasy game.
it is a fantasy game.
Not a real product.
Kill me now.
All right, welcome back, sheep. This is the BHHcast. Jamie Bendel, Jamie Hernan, Adam Haig. Today sounds a little different, right? You'd hear Bendel starting
Yeah,
off.
what's going on there?
Well, we've got a guest who I think
Doesn't like Bendel?
Well, no, he doesn't like Bendel,
Yeah,
and
sure.
I think that he would probably describe himself as a little bit different. I don't know if that's fair, but our guest is Howard Scott Warshaw. Welcome, Howard.
Hello there. It's great to be here on the JJ&A show.
I like it. I like it.
So Howard is the author of a number of books, but he's recently published the book called Once Upon Atari, How I Made History by Killing an Industry. You know, I was thinking, Howard, you go by Howard Scott Warshaw, and you've been described as someone who killed an industry, and usually, you know, the three-name thing, the middle name is reserved for serial killers
And assassins, yeah.
and assassins, right? So
Yeah.
I didn't know if did you start using your middle name after the ET situation?
Oh no, I've used my middle name practically since birth. It's been there all along. It's like an old friend that never goes. There was a time when I didn't use my middle name. I started using my full name in 7th grade. I do remember actually when it happened.
What happened?
I went
Is
through
this about to be
thing
a
where
true
just
crime
like,
podcast?
no, it's all true. I don't know if it's criminal, but it certainly was not a good demeanor. It was just basically, I just got tired of the sound of Howard Warshaw. I thought I wanted to change my name. So first I changed it to H. Scott. And I had my teachers, I told my teachers to call me H. Scott. And there was a problem with that because they started calling me H. Scott and I didn't respond. I wouldn't recognize it when they'd say that. So they just kept calling me Howard. And then I just got to the point of just saying, I just prefer the full name. I like the sound of it better. So I've been doing that for a long time.
They honestly, as someone who doesn't like his name very much, I've always considered, trying to switch it up and bring it in. I think a 7th grader who's willing to go ahead and make that move is pretty gutsy. It's a new school. Was it a new school and you decided to make the shift there, or?
No, it really wasn't. I mean, it was just sort of one of these things where I thought, I'm tired of this situation. How long am I going to go on tolerating it?
Is it possible then that was maybe the first precursor to what eventually became a career in therapy, making that assessment of how long things were tolerable before change was necessary?
I could tell you it was certainly the source of contributing to someone else's career as a therapist, initially. Yeah, absolutely. I did want to be a therapist when I was in high school. In fact, a friend of mine and I, my very close friend, and we're still very close friends, we were going to develop our own personality theory. You know, that was our plan when we were in high school. And then I went off to college and started studying economics and eventually computers. And he went off to the Air Force Academy and started studying, avionics and military stuff. And, I wound up a therapist and he wound up marrying a therapist, interestingly enough.
It'd be tough to be married to a therapist.
I think being married to a therapist has got to be like being married to a lawyer. I don't know. My wife all the time says, I hate being married to a lawyer.
Right, stop thinking like a lawyer. That's what they say.
Or stop questioning me. This isn't a deposition.
Right.
And
with a lawyer, I actually took the LSAT. There was a time where I was going to be a lawyer. I've always found law very interesting. To study. I don't know if I would really like the practice of it, but I took the LSATs. I was all set. I was going to go to law school. And
Howard, we usually ask our guests what's on your business card, but I'm not sure we could do that with you because is there a job that you have not done?
No, I have like the fan fold business card, right? It's like you got to let it sort of drip down. There has been a lot. Currently, I have some pretty cool stuff on my right now my business card, what it says is passion with a balanced perspective. And it also says insight, compassion, and inspiration because that's what I have to offer.
Now, when you were at Atari designing video games, would you have certainly you had the passion, but would you have considered yourself to have had a balanced perspective?
Absolutely not. I was totally imbalanced. Everything at Atari was totally imbalanced, and therefore it would never have lasted, although we all desperately wanted it to keep going on as it was. It couldn't possibly. It wasn't quite the Weeble.
Maybe dig in a little bit about how the book came to be. What was sort of the catalyst? How did that, bring for a person who's maybe more familiar with games generally, but some of the
retro or historic
forerunners
games
in the industry. How did the book come to be?
Well, so the book came to be because, as you may or may not know, I've been writing for many years. I enjoy writing. Actually, so it's really disingenuous to say I enjoy writing. The truth is, I enjoy having written. Writing is rough, but only because I expect it to be good. So, I got to keep hammering at it until it gets there. But the book, people literally for 20 years, people have been asking me, or people actually have been like, "Oh, you haven't written it yet? What's the matter with you?
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with you, Howard? You haven't written that. Of all the things you might write, you haven't written the Atari story yet." And then, and the Alamogordo did. Through the process of them creating Atari Game Over, that movie, I realized that there's now enough. I now have enough distance from Atari, enough other ancillary incidents and material, and I was becoming a therapist. Well, I was a therapist at that point, and I just felt now it was time.
So, Howard, as someone who's the reason we we talked about it before we came on, but we do have an example of your game here, and so I do collect the retro games, and one of the reasons I like to collect those really retro Atari games is because the artwork on the outside of those boxes is pretty incredible. Like when you go back and you look at and so I want to pick your brain a little bit about inside the industry. When we talked about if you look like the Air, Land, Sea games and the Warlord games and the Yar's Revenge games, like the artwork on the outside of those boxes was always so, and I hate to use the word, but oversold, right? The game, right?
Oh, yeah. Totally.
and so how, and that continues on, I think, all the way to today, where you see when they release a game and they show an ad for it, it's always the theatrical cut of the game. It's never real gameplay.
Oh, yeah. No, it's the cutscenes. It's the things that took 6 weeks to render, and they spent all that time with it. It's not the real-time graphics, that's for sure.
Yeah, and so, and I think that the ET, as circling back to you, was almost a victim of that, right? The over-promotion of a game to the point where it couldn't meet the expectations. And so talk about that balance between the marketing and the actual game of this, and how those played out.
Well, there's an old joke that many people probably know about. This person dies and goes up to the gates, and he's there, and he has the choice of going to heaven or hell. And he thinks, well, that's not much of a choice. Of course, I take heaven. They go, wait, and they show him this video of what hell is actually like. He goes, we get a lot of bad press, and at the end of it, he goes, wow, that does look good. And he decides to go to hell, and it's horrible, and it's actually miserable. He's like, what the hell, What's all this? He goes, oh yeah. He goes, you saw the marketing video too, didn't you?
Right.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. I mean, you see the marketing video and people get hyped up, but the problem with ET, where do I start? I mean, in my book, I go I do one of the most elaborate discussions I've ever done of like, what was the issue with ET and what were the implications of that? And, the thing with ET was more like the schedule. There was only 5 weeks to do it. Marketing was going to super hype the game, whatever was going on. There's a fundamental conflict between marketing and engineering, whereas that, engineers tend to under-promise and over-deliver because that's what they like to do. They like to not have too much expectation and then dump a whole bunch of extra features on you and, whoa, aren't you impressed? That's what engineers really like to do. And marketers like to overpromise and underdeliver because they like to promise well beyond what's possible because they want someone to buy into it. And, we're all motivated. We're all reasonably motivated for what we're trying to do. The animosity comes at no additional charge.
So you go to Atari, you develop Yar's Revenge, which is a big success, but in developing that, you were really supposed to be adapting an arcade game that you thought wouldn't work. You had your own ideas about what would work, and it ended up with Yar's Revenge. And the same with Raiders of the Lost Ark. Your next game, you developed that, and when you got to E.T., if I recall, Spielberg kind of had an idea that he wanted a Pac-Man style game. And you weren't having that, right?
That was a beautiful moment. Yeah. So, and it's funny in light of what we were talking about at the top of the show, right? Is that, with Yar's Revenge, I was assigned a coin option version, but, I don't like just going along with something that I'm not comfortable with as opposed to trying to change it, right? So there I was. And, and I did get into in the book the whole story about how tough it was to get into Atari for me in the first place and that they rejected me initially. I had to beg my way in. And when I got that, I was on probation when I got that first assignment. And even though I was in a compromised position and on probation, I still had the, whatever you want to call it, to go up to my manager and say, hey, this thing you want me to do, I think it's going to be stupid. I don't want to do it. So here's something I think would be better. I didn't just say that sucks, but I couldn't afford to have my first game suck. Atari was one of the first places in my life that I really cared about what I was doing. It was important to me. Now, as a therapist, I super care about what I'm doing. But there was a long drought in between where I didn't really care much about what I was doing professionally.
When the ET game was being developed, the CEO of Atari called, who I've heard you refer to as your grand boss, your boss's boss, and said, "We've got the." I think it was July 27th in '82, right? And well, I don't know when the call went to your boss's boss, but they said we need the game in 5 weeks, and your boss's boss said, "Hell no, there's no chance that's happening." And
Can't do it.
Then the call comes to you, and you say, "Absolutely, no problem. We've got it."
Absolutely, totally. But I was totally convinced I could do it.
But when Spielberg wanted a Pac-Man style game for ET, would that have been easier to deliver in 5 weeks?
No, I think that would have been impossible to deliver in 5 weeks. See, the thing is, I was sure I could do a game that I could do in 5 weeks. I did not say absolutely I can do whatever Spielberg wants in 5 weeks. Okay, now I didn't phrase it that way.
I'm positive I could do 5 weeks worth of work on this project.
Right. I will give you a 5-week game.
Yeah. I guess the question is, how many weeks would it have taken to make it a game that you'd, like, if you had it to do now, starting from scratch, how many weeks would you allot to do the project?
To do the game I wanted or do the game that Spielberg wanted?
To do the game you wanted.
To do the game that it's a deceptively difficult question. And the reason I say that is because if I would have had more time, I probably would have entertained different kinds of design. The design that I did was really, the main reason I chose that design was because I knew I could get it done. Now, I could, if I would have had another week, I mean, in the book, people always say, well, what would you do differently, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, you know, given what I had, I couldn't do a lot differently. There are a few things. If I would have had one more day to work on, there are several things. I broke it down into if I had 1 day more, if I had 1 week more, and 1 week would have been like a 20% increase in the schedule, which would be huge.
Right.
And then if I had just a bunch of time, because there were, you know, how I would do it differently depends on what the circumstance is, right? But the first thing that I would have done was fix it so you just don't fall back into the pits as much as you do.
You were saying like going to Atari was a big deal for you and getting in there, and now you're really concerned about your work. It from the book, it sounds like the time or the Atari environment was a pretty wild bacchanalia of school, of work. Do you think that,
excellent description?
Do you think that's still happening in the gaming world as people still are being pushed hard, like designers are being pushed hard, coders are being pushed hard? Do you think that it's a similar world, or how do you think that world has changed?
Oh yeah, that's something I do. When I went to 3DO years later, I really talk a lot in the book about how gaming then and now, which was back then and now, is different. It is different. It's not, I mean, in some ways it's the same, in some ways it's changed, right? Like most things. So
right.
It's the same in that, yeah, people are still working a lot. They're really throwing themselves at it and giving up on their lives and a lot of their time to make games happen and to put them together. The difference is that now the industry demands that time from you. People worked all the time at Atari. People work all the time now. The difference is that now people demand it of you. Management demands that that's what you do. At Atari, you couldn't keep us away from it.
Right.
We wanted to be there all the time.
As we think about like the then and now, one, when you were at Atari, could you imagine the world that we have now, where you have esports now being this huge thing, and we have mods, multiplayer games that are happening at the level that they're happening? What I'm interested to see kind of what the Atari developer thinks about the world today of gaming. Did you see this coming, or is it bigger and more amazing than you could have imagined?
I would say, honestly, the answer is both. Okay. And what I mean by that is, back at Atari, at least for me and for a lot of the people I was working with, we knew that games were here to stay, that this was something that was going to go on. It was going to be bigger and bigger. We even already had the 400, 800 computer, right? So we knew that gaming was going to get better than the 2600. And if it can get better once, it can get better many times. So we knew gaming was here to stay because it was such a fundamental and amazing thing to do. You don't invent a new medium and then see it just disappear unless it gets replaced by something even better, right? You just don't see that. And we were all aware of that. So on that level, absolutely, you knew it was going to get bigger and it was going to get bolder. It was going to be amazing. Moore's Law was just really, people were just beginning to really appreciate it back then, right? So Moore's Law, where technology quadruples every 2 years or so, right? To really, truly imagine what we have now, where we got to see this, I couldn't imagine that per se, right? So I would say that I saw it in the future, but a little to the left.
So at some point you make the transition out of game development into building this therapy practice. Okay. How much of game design translates into life design from a therapy standpoint? Are there similar elements?
That's a really good question. No, that's a really good question. The way I think it, a lot of people think that making the transition from programmer, even game programmer, to therapist is a very weird transition. It's a very odd one. And I've never seen it that way. To me, it's a very natural progression. Okay, and the reason I say that is because if you think about it, engineers and therapists, we're all systems analysts, right? It's just that now I'm working on much more sophisticated hardware in the human brain, right? But it's the same job on some level. Now, game design, where there is an analog between game design and therapy, okay? Because in game design, what you have is usually you have a clear goal. The player knows what they're supposed to arrive at, what they're trying to achieve. They're just not sure how to do it, and they have to go through a lot of experimentation, a lot of practice, and cultivate skills and build some knowledge, and then usually they're able to achieve the objective. And on that level, therapy, it's very similar to therapy, right? Because therapy, a lot of times someone comes to therapy, they have a goal. They know how they want to be different, or they know how they want something to be different around them. And they don't know how that is, and they're not clear, but it's not as easy to tell where you develop skills and what the map is and how do you work your way there and what do you practice. So the overall plan, you see, is pretty similar. But I think it's a lot trickier kind of a thing to help someone define their map and develop their skills in a therapeutic relationship than it is for a gamer, where usually there's a much clearer progression and it suggests itself. And, in games, you have a lot more hints along the way and, NPCs, giving you special information. And in therapy, there's only one NPC, and they're not NP.
Well, and to play on the cliche, there are probably a lot of people who enter therapy with the mindset that the person sitting across from them is really just going to provide cheat codes, right?
Yes, that's very well put. And it's true. For individuals, it's like people will show up to you and they expect you to fix their problem, and I always have to explain to people, no, it's not my job to fix you. I tell them it's their job to fix them. It's my job to open their eyes and help them see, where the tools are. And so they'll have some things to work with. Couples, it's a bit different thing. I do a lot of work with couples also. I do a lot of relationship therapy. And that's always interesting, because what I like to say is that every couple comes to therapy knowing exactly how their partner has to change to fix things. And they want to enlist my help in fixing their partner so that everything can be okay.
Well, I would actually love for you to fix my partners in this podcast.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Jamie just got not only a good question, but a great follow-up. So, I mean, I think there's one guy that needs to get fixed, and it's not the Jamie with the B at the end.
No, I love the idea that you could sit down maybe in a session with Howard, and he's going to say, so here's the problem. You're a Sega system. You're Nintendo.
Yeah.
And unless you guys get on the same system, it's going to be very challenging for this
Your game pads are totally different. You can't speak to each other.
You don't even have to be on the same system, but you must at least define an interface.
That's right. We're all roughly the same age on hosting the podcast here, and so I was of the generation where it was the first at-home gaming systems.
Yes.
And the system that my parents chose for me was Mattel's Intellivision. Mm-hmm. And I think that
led to a lot of therapy.
It turned me off gaming almost entirely.
And just defined your life for the next coming year. Absolutely.
It really did. I was the clear outlier in the neighborhood.
They do polls of current gamers. Like, they look at the kids who are like the really intense gamers, and the Intellivision group is almost not represented. It really caused most kids just to give up gaming. And apparently Monopoly and chess champions, though, Intellivision was big in their youth.
I know, it's a sad story. It's
It's
like,
Yeah.
They gave him an Intellivision and he said, "Holy Coleco, Mom and Dad, I can't believe it."
We actually have a local high school here. So where we live, where we record this, there is a brand new magnet STEM high school.
Yep.
And it does not have any traditional athletics.
Right.
But they do have esports.
Yeah. And there's esports.
Well, if it's a magnet school, I'm guessing that their mascot is a polar bear.
Hey-o!
That's all the time we have for the podcast tonight.
Now we're coming in with a zing.
Yeah, I don't know
How
what
to
it is.
shorten the podcast.
Yeah.
There we go.
I am texting a school board member right after this to
Make sure that
give a
happens.
hat tip to you and to make sure that it becomes.
It's got to.
Yeah.
So, Howard, we've got some questions we normally ask our guests, but I've got a couple quick questions for you before we get to that.
Sure.
So in the documentary High Score, I noticed that, they do a great job with bringing in pixelated graphics that sort of play to what they're talking about. How cool was it to see a pixelated Atari 2600 VCS version of yourself in that documentary?
I got to say, that was pretty cool. Though that's happened before. I was on an episode of Code Monkey once. You guys remember that used to run on G4?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was on the Brian episode, I think, and that was fun. And there was a pixelated version of that I actually used as my avatar for a while.
Some people have the goal of doing the kind of embossed, like the Wall Street Journal photos that they do. That's a goal in life to get your photo and done like that. Other people, it's just pixelated. Give me the 64-bit pixelated.
Yeah, they say give me pixels or give me bit depth.
There you go.
So when you finished the ET game, my understanding is that you went and played the game or presented the game to Spielberg.
Right. Actually, he played it.
He played it, right? And did the issue with falling into the pits come up in conversation?
Not a bit of it. I mean, he fell into the pit some. He was able to work out of it. See, the thing about the pits that people overlook is one of the problems that I had with the game that you're going to do in 5 weeks is where's the gameplay? Hello, gameplay. You need some kind of gameplay. And for me, taking an avatar that's the right size and having to maneuver through small passageways at some point, that's part of the gameplay. And there's a penalty for touching the sides. So that was purposeful. I mean, I designed that in. I just didn't think it was going to work out so poorly as a game mechanic. One of the problems with ET was that the graphics were so good. I mean, for the 2600, it had pretty good graphics. Mm-hmm. And because it had pretty good graphics, the weird thing was it created a phenomenon that I'd never experienced before on the VCS, which was that people expected things to work the way they're supposed to, as opposed to them just being stuff on a screen and you get the rules and you play. And I have Jerome to thank/blame for that. It was the guy who did the graphics for it. And I would thank/blame him, except he's dead. Oh, he actually died a few years ago. Right now, I am looking at his ashes. I have his ashes. We were tremendously good friends for many, many years.
Hold on a second. Do you have all of his ashes?
No, I have given some away, and I have distributed some. I'm in the process of taking Jerome to a lot of places he likes and leaving him there. So Jerome, in his afterlife, is becoming geographically diverse. And I'm helping that process.
I wish I had known about the ash distribution portion opportunities.
Let's get into this.
Of this.
Yeah, let's get into this.
Okay, so at some point, I
actually have never discussed this on any podcast before. This is an exclusive that you guys have.
All right.
I don't think I've ever talked about this on a podcast before.
All right, so and I don't know, so I want to be cautious in the introduction to this. Was
you don't have to be too cautious.
Well, okay.
I'm pretty open-minded.
All right. Was Jerome aware he was dying?
Not really. Jerome had a massive heart attack in, I think, very late 2015.
Okay.
So he knew he had exposure. But he was doing well, and he'd had a lot of surgery, and he was recovering, and he was doing all okay. And then he had a sudden, final, fatal heart attack very late in 2016.
All right.
So for that last year, he knew he was sort of on the fence, but he felt he was more on one side than the other, and then suddenly he flipped.
Now, you had some conversations with Jerome prior to his death that he wanted to be cremated, and he wanted you to have some of his ashes.
No, not really.
Oh,
not really. We didn't discuss this. That was
first come, first served?
Well,
this was my design, essentially.
All right.
The way it went was that Jerome was not a guy who made a lot of preparations. Jerome was a guy, and this was sort of like Atari, too, which makes a lot of sense. Like, you asked me, what did we see looking forward when we were at Atari? What did we think the game world was going to look like? We didn't really spend a lot of time thinking about that. We were worried about the next generation. We wanted to see a better machine. But the thing about being at Atari was we were super focused on where we were and what was happening right then. Our eyes were full of like launching this new medium and creating this new entertainment medium. And so we weren't really thinking down the road as much as we were thinking of what can I do today to make this better, to really make this happen. And Jerome was very much a present thinker like that.
Okay.
Very much. And so he never really made preparations for what's going to happen later. And in fact, his whole estate, everything he had sort of went into probate, and his sisters, chopped it up and they got it all. But they all live way out of town. Right? They all live in other states. And so when it came time, so he was just, his body was picked up by the county and they basically, cremated him, as an expediency. And then somebody had to go pick up the ashes. So they called me because they knew I was his very close friend. So his sisters called me up and said, hey, they're done with the ashes
Will
now.
you go get Jerome?
Somebody to go pick them up. So
Okay.
I went and picked him up. I was happy to do it. And then nobody ever asked me for him again. So,
Wow.
Did you talk about knowing, like having that particular friend that will pick you up at the airport? This is
Right.
like next
Yeah.
level.
Right.
Yeah.
this is next level.
This
That's
is
true.
the friend that will come pick me up after I've been cremated.
This is like difficulty B versus A on the VCS
Well,
console.
I think the airport analogy is very apt, except the way I would put it is this is where you find him at the terminal.
All right, but so now you and I don't mean to. I'm just fascinated by it. Have you?
You don't have to apologize for
Let's just
anything.
go.
I'm a therapist.
All right.
I have
But
heard everything.
Okay, so do you think that you are closer friends with Jerome in some respects after his death because you are giving thought to the places you are choosing to spread his ashes? Like, is it acknowledgement of the value of his relationship to you with the sensitivity to which you're making determinations about where he should be?
There is a valuation there, and there is sentimentality, and there is meaning to this process that I'm bringing for sure. But I wouldn't say that our friendship has improved. I would
Well, it's
say
become
that
more
our
one-sided.
friendship...
It's more one-sided, definitely.
Well, yeah, I think what it is that we're as good friends as we ever were, but the conversation has definitely suffered.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, it's
he's
just
a bit-
more your-sided. Yeah.
He's a better listener.
Yeah, more of a listener now.
Yeah.
Exactly. I do a lot more rhetorical stuff than I used to in
Sure.
our conversation.
I used to think that I needed to do a lot of work to like get my bucket list done, but I'll just say here and now, I'm just not even going to worry about that. I'm going to create the bucket list, and Adam and Jamie, I expect you to
Execute on the
execute
Yeah.
once I'm done.
Good luck.
Once I'm gone.
Good luck with the bucket. Do you feel like do you have a thought that at some point you'd like to disperse all of the ashes, or do you feel like you would get through with all of them and you'd like to retain at least some last little portion?
I got to tell you, it's a lot of action.
Okay.
I'm not
I don't
really
know how
worried.
much it is.
I mean,
I don't know how much it is. So I'm
What he's
way I
saying is
look
he's
at
leaving
it
a
is-
little bit more at each place.
I'll definitely have some left. I'm not going to a place and dumping a bunch.
Right.
I'm putting a little here and a little there. I mean, Jerome now exists. I could probably say this without fear of prosecution. I think he definitely, one of his favorite places was Disneyland. So let's just say he's a regular patron there.
Okay.
Did you go like
And,
Shawshank,
lot of-
Jerome in the pocket, and you kind of shake him out a little bit as you walk along, like Andy
Exactly.
Dufresne did?
Exactly. No, it's sort of a Stalag 17 routine.
Yeah.
But I definitely discreetly dispersed him at a few places in downtown Disney. And because he's a big fan of that and shopping, and he loves to see what the new trends are in the shops. And so now he can observe that firsthand. There's a lot of beachside locations that have been graced with his presence.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to bring him to Hawaii the last time I went to Hawaii.
Well, you'll have to
And
go
I
back.
kept meaning to.
Yeah.
But he's never been to Hawaii.
Well,
so I
again,
don't-
you'll have to go back. Maybe he doesn't miss it, though.
At Disney, I think you should have left a little bit of him at Haunted Mansion.
he never went to Hawaii. That wasn't really his thing. I liked Hawaii, so I just thought he might like it, so I wanted to share it with him.
Yeah, I
But,
think that's reasonable.
You know, but I know a lot of places that he used to like to go on a regular basis. Every once in a while, I swing by some of those places and treat them to a bit of
Well,
hint.
there you go.
There you go.
All right, so the questions that we typically ask our guests, one of them relates to the Meat and Three restaurant. Are you familiar with a Meat and Three style restaurant?
Me and three or meat and
Meat.
three?
Yeah, meat. Meat and Three.
It sounds like something I'd like.
Yeah.
That's for sure, but I'm not familiar with
All
it.
right, so conceptually, it's you choose an entree, a meat, and then you get to select
Three
three
sides.
sides.
Oh, and three sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a meat and
Oh,
three.
I get it.
Kinda
Yeah,
like a
you're talking
cafeteria
about
style.
a barbecue place.
Barbecue
Yeah, or like
styles
a
or cafeteria or something.
Market or something like that. Yeah.
So in our
I didn't know there was a name for that, but
Yeah.
I eat at places like that quite a bit. Yeah,
All right.
so I'm good with that.
So the way we ask it on the podcast is for you in your life, what is the meat? What's the organizing principle around which everything else revolves?
Wow. I practically wrote a book about it, and I'm still not sure I can answer it. I'm going to need a couple of whacks at this.
Okay.
Sure.
Because I don't think I can do that in one entree. So I may need a side entree, as they say. But I mean, one organizing principle for me, one fundamental thing, and this is something I learned in college at a symposium, at a speaker symposium. Dick Cavett, who was a tremendous American wit
Mm-hmm.
and TV host. I don't know if people are still familiar with him.
He's
but
terrific.
he
If
was
not, they should
amazing. I
be.
always,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed him. And when I saw he was moderating a discussion on anthropology at a speaker symposium, I had to go. And it's not like I need anthropology, but this was cool. And they had Margaret Mead, and they had this stuffed shirt. And Cavett's moderating, and the stuffed shirt at one point says something, and Cavett makes a little drollery, makes a little jibe at his expense. And the guy gets really pissed off. And the stuffed shirt looks at Cavett and he goes, well, if you're not going to take this seriously, I don't even know why you're here. And you just don't do that kind of thing to Cavett.
Mm-mm.
At least not if you're wise. And so he did that, and Cavett didn't miss a beat. He came back with something that burned its way into my head and has stood as a fundamental philosophy of life for me. He looked at the guy and he said, please don't mistake my levity for shallowness any more than I mistake your gravity for depth.
Oh,
And
nice.
I thought, oh,
Zing.
yeah. So that's something, because it is a fundamental pillar of my worldview that, there's humor everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
There's everything. There's humor, there is drama, there is boredom, there's excitement, there's news, there's entertainment. Everywhere you look, everywhere you are, you have but to be able to perceive it. And so I frequently am in touch with the humor of any situation, which makes me a lot of fun at weddings and really uncomfortable at funerals. The problem that I have at funerals is when people start to give eulogies, what happens is all I think of like the funny rejoinders you could give in response to the things they're saying. It's like I would heckle a funeral, but I just don't think that's a good idea. I've always wanted to write a scene, though. I want to write a skit where this is the character. The character is the funeral heckler, right? The guy who says the things that no one, wants to hear at the moment. But so what I do when I go to a funeral frequently is I sit way in the back. And I sit there with a notepad and I try to write things down. And when I can't hold it in and I'm giggling, I leave. I step out of the room.
There you go.
What the problem,
unobtrusively.
Howard, the problem with that is that eulogies are done by marketing when they really need to be done by engineering.
That's right. They oversell.
Right?
That's where it is.
Everybody, the contents of the box that's at the front of the room, the insides do not match the outside.
That's right.
Right?
That's
Everybody.
right. And let's face it, that product is not going to get revved anymore.
No.
No, it is not.
All right. So let's use humor as the entree. Then the three sides. What are the three attributes that you would like people to most closely associate with you?
That's tough. I mean, I think that goes back to my card.
Yeah, I was going to say your
'Cause
business
that's why
card.
I put them there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's insight. It would definitely be insight and inspiration, right? Those would be two of the sides for sure. I'd like to be known as insightful and I do want to inspire people and encourage them to make more of themselves, to realize more of their potential. That's what I do as a therapist. That's tremendously exciting work. That's more fun for me than entertaining people with a video game. And entertaining people with a video game is pretty damn fun for me. I'll tell you.
But with your third one, now you got to decide between the stuffing, or the mashed potatoes, or the macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, and do they have garlic mashed potatoes? Because I really like that.
Oh.
I knew when we asked this, you were going to go off menu.
I'm just that guy because I see the potential. I don't just see the menu. I see what the ingredients are and what could be made.
What could be there?
It's, compassion is what I use here. And I want to be known for that with this, but acerbic wit used to be my number 3. I'd like to be known for the acerbic wit. And instead, I think being compassionate, that's more important. It didn't use, when I was at Atari, an acerbic wit was way more important to me than compassion.
Absolutely.
And I'm happy to say that now that has changed. And now compassion is much more important.
All right, so those are great.
That's right.
All right, so now we do a little bit of a lightning round. These are intended to be deep questions with short answers, like rapid fire style.
You're going to have trouble with the short answer with me, but I will do my best to comply.
All right. So
we'll cut you off.
Let's tighten it up, Howard. Tighten it up. All right. You have the choice as the guest. Do you want to go clockwise or counterclockwise?
Maybe the biggest decision of the night.
Being the contrarian that I am, I'll have to go counterclockwise.
All right. So Jamie starts.
Which mystery or unsolved case would you like to know the truth about?
That is tough. I don't know if anything that's not so. Actually, to be perfectly honest, I'd like to know more about some of the recent, about the 2016 election. I'd like to know more about that.
All right. If you could ride any animal, which would you choose?
A llama.
What would you love to find at a yard sale?
Oh, I'd like to find a mile. Usually they only sell them in yards.
Oh, Howard.
You
don't get a bow, bow, bow on that.
Do you have any superstitions?
Yeah, I'm afraid of any kind of belief that constricts me.
There you go.
What do you think animals know that we don't?
What humans are like. What they're really like.
Excellent.
What was the best TV sitcom of all time?
All in the Family.
What do you want to make sure you do before you die?
See more All in the Family.
There we go. It makes sense.
All right. Now, this was a drawn question because we draw these randomly, but it is perfect to end on. Howard Scott Warshaw, author of a terrific book. Do hope our listeners, go check it out and learn more about this saga. Final question is...
Do you mean Once Upon Atari, How I Made History by Killing an Industry? Is that the book you're referring to?
That's just one of your many books, but we'll take that one.
That's the book I'm talking about. You got to go read it.
I just wanted to be clear. You mean the one you can find on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, and many other fine retailers?
I'm not sure it's that one.
That same book.
Is that the one we're talking about?
That's the one we're talking about.
Okay, yeah,
I just want to be clear. I want to bring a little clarity to the whole situation.
I'm sorry. Is that the one where you're working at Atari, or is that... Am I thinking of the other one? That's the Atari one, right?
It's the one where I was working at Atari, but worked my way all the way through to healing the lives of others.
Got it. That's the one we're talking about.
Whereas I used to entertain nerds, now I actually make their lives better. I've come full circle.
The plug taken.
The person whose voice you've been listening to.
Yes.
It belongs to the author of that book.
Yes.
Final question.
Here it is.
Rapid fire round.
Dun, dun, dun.
Would you rather...
Here we go.
Read the book or see the movie?
Oh, I'd rather read the book while seeing the movie. See, that would be so cool. Now, when you say see the movie, do you mean the movie they're going to make of this book?
Yes.
Or do you mean the Once Upon a Atari documentary series?
No. I mean,
I also produced.
The movie about this book. I'm talking the movie of this book.
Right. So he has a DVD series that was done prior to the book.
Yeah. So we'll get both.
I gotta say, I think I'd want to read the book because I am afraid of what they're going to do with this movie.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Have they told you who's going to play you?
No, I keep thinking George Clooney.
Ryan Reynolds, George Clooney. Sure, makes sense.
The funny thing is like people tell me all the time, they go, "You look like somebody famous." And I tell them, "Oh, yeah. It's, people tell me I look like George Clooney. And I go, "Yeah, I think I do, but I have a hearing problem." And they go, "Yeah." I go, "Yeah, I hear what I want to hear." People actually tell me I look like Rob Reiner a lot. I mean, I actually get that a lot because I think it's true. I do look like Rob Reiner. I'd prefer to look like, someone more handsome than Rob Reiner, but Rob Reiner is a pretty good looking guy. I mean, he looks like me, so how bad could it be?
That's a win.
Hey, and if anybody wanted to anecdotally test the value of humor and longevity, take a look at how long the Reiners, the Norman Lears, the George Burns, Milton Berles, they lived to be 1,000 years old.
That's right. Happy lives.
Yep. Clooney.
Yeah, in fact, Carl Reiner was part of the 2,000-year-old man thing, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Clooney's dead at 63.
Knew? Yeah.
Yeah. Way too serious.
We talk about classic comedy, though. And it is interesting that All in the Family, I do think, is one of the all-time greatest, sitcoms. But The Office is really, that's a hard one to beat also.
That's true.
That's The American Office. They did an amazing job with that show. But the thing about All in the Family, because I just love TV history, is that what Norman Lear did on that show was at a time when censorship was so intense and so constricting, he was able to deal with real hot-button issues in a sitcom format and deliver laughs, but also deliver real drama. It was a full-spectrum show. And I just think, I don't know of many people who are able to deliver that broad an entertainment experience, still have relevance, still have meaning, and still do it with sensitivity and some humor. It's just a brilliant production.
Yeah, Howard, thank you very much for spending time with us. You mentioned...
Oh, thank you. It's always a pleasure. I really like talking with you guys.
Tell us again where everybody can find your book, where they can find you online.
No, he got that pretty good.
No, I think we should say it again.
One more time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, just one more time.
Sure.
You can always go to you can go to onceuponatari.com and find all things Once Upon Atari for sure. And you can find the book in ebook or paperback form on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple Books. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of outlets where you can get the book. And I am working on, and by summer should have an audio version of the book. I'm looking forward to that. So please go buy the book, support your local former game developer, current psychotherapist, because I can support you too.
Thank you, Howard.
Thank you, Howard. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Howard.
Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
All right. That was Howard Warshaw. I think his evil twin, Howard Warshaw.
Oh, did I say Warshaw?
Yeah.
Warshaw.
Yeah, that's okay.
All right, that's fine.
I mean,
Yeah. I thought you were maybe just like giving him like that extra, like it was like an exclamation point at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like after some of the stuff that was
one
going
time.
on at
You can cut it
Atari, you needed to have a war shower,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it was some nuts stuff going on there. Anyhow, it was. I mean,
Warshaw?
It's an interesting guy who was at the
I said
beginning.
Warshaw.
He's an interesting guy who was at the beginning of an industry that is now huge.
You're saying it wasn't Warshower.
I'm saying it's Warshaw.
Warshaw.
I keep thinking I would be able to edit out
Warshaw.
our
His name was
conversation.
Scott.
Yeah.
Howard Scott, not H. Scott.
Listen, be quiet for just a second. Howard Scott Warshaw.
There you go.
Not Warshower.
Well done. I'll throw that in. Appreciate him joining us.
Yeah, it's great to have a guy who is at the kind of the gaming has now become such a huge thing. It's a huge driver, and it's financially huge. It's a whole culture behind it, and it's one of those guys that was literally at the very beginning of the home gaming system. I mean, this is the beginning of sports. Like, it's like talking to the guys that were at the beginning of NBA, the guys that were beginning of the NFL, like the things that are big in our culture. Like he was one of those people that was part of something that got huge.
But he's also accused of being not only maybe part of the beginning, but also really more so the end.
Really, I don't think you could accuse him of being too punny.
No,
because I think he really got some zingers in there.
He did.
Yeah. Honestly, I saw a couple Sheik actually roll over on a couple of those puns.
This is now our third episode in a row with that little horn sound that's made its way. And maybe a thing.
I mean, you might as well do it.
Might as well.
I wonder if you can call in the sheep with that sound.
No, they just
No.
like taka.
It's a taka.
They like taka.
Yeah, I think at some point we need to get into the taka more and explain that, but not now. Not now.
think
No,
the
no.
Not
mis-
ever.
the great
I don't
mystery
think. I think
continues.
everybody understands exactly what it is. Resonates.
The great mystery continues.
Yeah.
For if you don't know, now you know.
All right, so there will be no additional cheat codes in this episode.
Nope.
It is time to reboot it. So somebody's probably calling you for dinner. Maybe it's time to go to bed. Whatever it is going on in your life, you
Shut
need
it
to
down.
Shut it down.
Shut it down.
All right, so for Jamie Bendel, Jamie Hernan, Adam.
Good night, sheep.